Okay, Dan, good to say hello to you again. We did a recording a couple of months ago when Prophetic Evangelism first came out, and we're here today to have a quick chat about the revised second edition of Prophetic Evangelism, which has come out. So we'll talk in a moment a little bit about the new book and what's different. But you're straight back off mission. You were on mission last week in Basingstoke. So I thought, well, just tell us a little bit about what happened and what you've learned.
Well, first of all, thank you for this, Peter, and a chance to do a video together. The mission in Basingstoke was wonderful. It was working across cultures with 5 Indian and African churches, Pentecostal and charismatic. So spiritually, very exciting. They're people full of prayer, full of faith, very spiritual people. That inevitably there are glitches with working across cultures, and confused in a sense by the fact that we are in England, so everything else is working in a very English way, whilst working with churches that in some ways come and are quite untouched culturally. They're perhaps much more as if they were still back in their homeland. So some great challenges, but certainly charged up in faith and prayer, and we saw God do some incredible things there, not least bring 5 pastors across cultures together, and the plans for them to go on meeting and praying together, which of course is so powerful when pastors pray together and fellowship together. Yeah.
Well, that's excellent. But again, so exciting, really. Obviously, our country is changing, our world is changing, and this idea of cross-cultural mission in such a different context is just fascinating. Maybe we'll have a longer interview to talk about that at some time in the future.
Yes.
But great. So we're now up to Prophetic Evangelism, Kingdom Exploits in the Risk Zone, second edition. First quick question, what is Prophetic Evangelism? Second quick question, what's the difference in this new second edition?
Well, in a nutshell, Prophetic Evangelism is evangelism with a particular focus and attention on what is God specifically saying to or about the person in front of you or group of people in front of you. So looking to exercise the gifts of the Holy Spirit, for instance, words of knowledge, words of wisdom, healing, miracles, and to get people's attention in a postmodern age where people really aren't interested, at first at least, in a traditional exposition of the gospel. No matter how good we are, they need to know that God is real. And so prophetic evangelism is, if you like, putting Jesus in front of someone, confronting them with the reality that he is alive, he knows details about them that he couldn't possibly know if he weren't real. And having gained people's attention, then we have a platform to share the unchanging gospel of grace. So it's seeking to meet people where they are at personally and bring them to a place where they can reasonably listen to the gospel with some understanding of a personal God.
Yeah. So uniquely, perhaps, breaking down barriers in a way that gets straight through.
Yes,
yeah. Lovely.
Straight to the heart.
Okay. So we're up to edition number 2. What's the big difference with the second edition?
Well, we're very pleased with how the first edition was received, but aware that we're looking for a broad readership, not just Pentecostals and charismatics or those that lean that way from other denominations. We want it to be read across the board, across the church. We believe it's a tool for everybody, not just people who are particularly into that side of things. This is a gift for everyone, maybe not all the time, but for everyone. And for that reason, there are teachings that people have received and perhaps unconscious prejudices that they've received that would deter them from enjoying or engaging in prophetic evangelism, or potentially even being very suspicious of it. So what we wanted to do was break down any misunderstandings and just flag up to people why they might have an inherent suspicion. Sometimes we're suspicious of something, we don't even know why. Often there's things that have been said to us or planted into our lives back through the years that are still influencing us today. So the attempt was to undo any any ground where the enemy has territory, and to point out to people that this is a very biblical thing, and the teaching backs that up.
Yeah. So there's something, isn't there, about poor teaching, or I'm going to say ignorant teaching, but also hostile teaching to this area, which you address, and I think you map out in quite a useful way in a diagrammatic form, which is, I found it very helpful. So yeah, well done for that. Okay, the last real question is about the training course that you do. You do a half-day, one-day training course. What do people expect, and how do they go about getting onto the training course?
Yes, well, thanks for that. The opportunity to share about the course, Peter. It's what you should expect is a faith-filled day, lots of practical teaching and group work, where we're encouraging people in a safe and nurturing environment to step out in this gift. Because two things we find: one is that people have been doing a lot more of it than they realize, they just didn't have the language for it. Mm-hmm. Or two, they're very nervous because the first time to step out believing, well, I just heard from God and God is saying something personal to this other person, that's the big step of faith. So realistically, we all need a safe and nurturing environment. So that's what the course hopes to provide, alongside lots of practical teaching and biblical examples of prophetic evangelism. You're also going to be in a room full of like-minded people who really want to evangelize, who really want to grow in their gifts. That in itself can be a catalyst for people. We hope it's a joyful experience. There's prayer and praise starting the day and finishing the day, and an open time for the Holy Spirit to minister to people, which we found he very much does. He takes that opportunity and he's drawn by the hunger that is in the room. So I hope that you would leave encouraged, exhorted, equipped, and enabled to, in a day-to-day way, function in this gift of prophetic evangelism. I think the course is very balanced. Lots of people have done it now, and I've certainly not had complaints that it's unbalanced. I believe there's plenty of the word, and the Holy Spirit is given lots of space too.
Great. So you do sort of face-to-face live courses, but in principle, we can also do this via Zoom or equivalent as well.
That's right. If there's demand, we can make it work across the globe now with Zoom. It's if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so how do they get in touch?
Well, I recommend people contact Christian Publications International, which is Peter is the CEO of CPI Publishing, which you can easily find on the web. And Peter has a website there, and it's very easy then for you to click through and communicate with him. Peter is graciously sponsoring this project, and so that would be a good place to contact, and we can go from there.
Yep, great. And yes, we can then make those connections. Well, brilliant, Dan. Thanks very much for your time this morning. I think that's been excellent. So thank you, and look forward to hearing again from you soon.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
God bless you.